climb a tree here. What is that?
When you get a Game Pass 3 month from Best Buy, they give you this card.
Oh, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, for free.
What is it?
It's like an Xbox, like gold, like a card.
It's like whenever they used to give
yeah.
out. They used to give
Sweet.
out. What is it called? The achievement trophies. Like
Yeah,
if you had a
so it is.
higher like game score, they would actually send out trophies to you.
Yeah, it's pretty
Oh,
dope.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, we are now live. Hello, everybody,
Hey.
and welcome to episode number 4 of the Last Place Fireteam show. I'm your host for this week, Yendi, along with my co-host Alan
Hey, what's up, everybody? How you guys doing?
and Chris.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back.
So today on the show, we will be talking about the new PS5 VR headset, which was announced. We'll be talking about Metallica and their BlizzCon performance that was ruined by Twitch, Days Gone, and maybe other PlayStation games coming to PC. Avatar finds a new showrunner, and then we'll be talking a little bit about Amazon Luna, which Alan has. But before we start there, let me just ask you guys, what have you been up to? What have you been playing? What's up, Chris?
So I've been slam packed with work, but I've been finding the time to play the first Little Nightmares after we had our show with Charles, and since he talked so highly about it, I was like, I have to give it a chance because I played Inside. I haven't played Limbo or whatever. I think it was called Limbo. That game is very creepy. It is like he was right. Like it's out there, and I love it. I'm trying to rush through it so I can get to the second one because I heard the second one is way better. And I've also been playing Valheim, the game that we were talking about last week. I've put in many hours with you, Yendi.
Yeah,
And I'm fully addicted into it. I can't get enough of it. So
it's very nice. It's very calming game to play, just to spend time. You know. What about you, Alan? What have you been up to playing and all that stuff?
Well, we talked about this a little bit before the show. I've been playing, messing around with Luna, but I'll save most of that for later. I've been playing Apex, like little 2-3 games here, there. You know what I mean? Trying to get my skills back. I've been really enjoying season 8. I'm still mad that they need to do cross progress, but it's okay. And then
how do they have crossplay but not cross progress?
I don't know, and it's very upsetting because like I don't even know how much time I have on Apex on my console, but like
you know why they're doing it though.
Yeah, so I can buy it.
So you can rebuy the stuff.
Yeah,
not happening.
Because I was about to say, like, there's really no excuse because you already got past the hard part of getting your game going cross-platform. That's the hardest part. So why can't I take my save like a cloud, like the iPhone? Like I can literally buy a new iPhone and then whoop, and it's like, here's all your stuff, transfer it over. You're good. Like it's ridiculous.
The fact that they got it on Switch, there's no technical limitations or excuses for them not to have cross progression anymore. But
and on top of that, it's such a small file. Like it's such a small save file. It's not like this big, extraordinary thing. Whatever. But I've been, good thing I played Lifeline a lot and I played a lot of Bloodhound, so it's fine. Yeah. And today I actually started Hades, which I'm already addicted to. And I played it for about 2 hours before the show started. I'm actually going to stream it at some point, but I can see why everyone got hooked to that game because that game is easily, just addictive. Super
the music
addictive.
is great. The little backstories in the background is great. Like I'm buying the soundtrack. Like I'm trying to get a little record player. I want the vinyl soundtrack.
Yeah. Voice acting is phenomenal.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's good.
For an indie, Supergiant being, they
I wouldn't call it indie anymore.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Like with Supergiant, they were indie, but I've never been disappointed by a Supergiant game. Transistor was amazing. Hades already, like I said, for 2 hours has been amazing. So that's
another game that wasn't up my, because I'm not into rogue like games like that, and that was another game that I kept hearing people talk about, and I took a chance on it, and I ended up following. It's like one of my top games, also.
Yeah.
It's up there, and then now you can understand, Alan, why. I don't know if you saw on Twitter after the whole Nintendo stuff with people were upset also about Hades, that they were just like it's in physical form, and everybody's like,
yeah,
does it does it come with more stuff? Do we get more content? And it's like,
No,
now you get an art book, and everybody's like,
Yeah.
well, that sucks. And then, but people still bought it because they want the art book.
Yeah. I completely understood that, but I mean, it is. I mean, like I said, Supergiant, just great. The game is fantastic, and I'm looking forward to playing for a couple hours.
Nice. As for myself, I've been playing Valheim with Chris, really. But lately I haven't been able to really do much except work on some mice orders. All of a sudden I got a big influx of that, so I've been spending most of my time doing that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good though.
Yeah, it's really good, but it takes up the entire day. But
yeah,
I mean, other than that, yeah, it's pretty normal week for me. So let's go ahead and get into. Oh, you know what? Before I get into the stories, let me show you something that our friend Charles made for us. Check it out.
Nice.
Yeah. So thank you for that, Charles. He got one for each of us. So sooner or later, you'll have all three of us wearing the same shirt. So
for the podcast audience, he showed us a shirt.
Just true. I forgot. We're on podcast.
I forgot about that part. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's go ahead and start with our first story for the day. So Sony has announced that the PlayStation 5 will have a VR headset. This is from Jonathan Dornbush over at IGN.com. Quote, PlayStation has announced the next generation of its PSVR headset, but it won't necessarily be called PlayStation VR 2, and it won't be coming in 2021. Sony confirmed that PSVR 2 will come to PS5 and will, quote, connect to PS5 with a single cord to simplify setup and improve ease of use, while enabling a high-fidelity visual experience. It's described as a next-gen VR system that enhances everything from resolution and field of view to tracking and input. No images have been released of the device. Chris, what do you think? I know you have a VR headset.
I got Oculus, and I've gotten questions at work to somebody was like, "Hey man, should I get a PSVR or an Oculus?" To me, the PSVR is an accessory. The Oculus is actual VR. Like, you know what I mean? And they have. I mean, I was interested. I know people that have the PlayStation VR and they like it. If you're not fully into the world of virtual reality, you just like, you want to dabble in it a little bit. PSVR is great. I don't like the controllers per se. And then what they did with Hitman VR, which I really want to play. But I don't want to get a PlayStation VR. And also, you have to use the controller, the PS5 controller. So there was a streamer that I was watching and he's playing Hitman. And he has the PSVR and he's sitting in his chair, and to like hit somebody, he's like shaking his controller like this across. And I'm like, whose idea was this? You know what I mean?
Have a camera on that guy.
It was so bad. He made sure. I mean, he was doing a review on the game, and he made sure he's like, I want you to see how dumb I look and how uncomfortable this is for me to play this game. But it's just one of those things, man. It's gonna be. I'm hoping that they put a little bit more money into it. And I hope they get better controllers for it, but I want them to be able to. I want the PlayStation 5 to support other VR sets because I'm not gonna get PSVR. You know what I mean? If I have a strong enough VR, you should just let me play my VR on there. I should just be able to hook it up and go.
Not gonna happen.
I know it's not gonna happen because it's the cash grab, and a lot of people. I mean, the thing with Sony is. I mean, with other companies coming out with VR, even Nintendo tried to make their own. I don't even know how that worked, but it was a virtual reality. Yeah, the cardboard box thing. It seemed to work. Mm-hmm. People thought it was cool, but it's causing these other. It's causing like Oculus and HTC to drop their prices to kind of match out with them. Because at first when VR came out, the first Oculus was like $1,000. It was like $1,000 to get one.
Yeah.
So
not very accessible for people.
Yeah.
So safe to say you probably won't be getting
I won't be getting it. I hope it does well. If they change up the controller, they have something in their hands, and they have to support it because so far what I've seen is that the whole package of the PS5 was get the you need your controllers, but they tried to push the PS camera, the PlayStation camera again with the console, and they did it with the PS4, and I remember people went nuts trying to find it. It was sold out everywhere for a long time. I actually got one, and they never. I think they put Astro's Playroom on it, and that was the only thing. That was it, and they never gave support. No other game gave it support, so it kind of died off. So they have to support the VR system, or they're gonna get a lot of backlash for it. They can't just keep porting Beat Saber and give us more songs and say, "Hey, this is virtual reality. Here it is."
So, last question before I move on to Alan's thoughts. Which game do you want to see on VR? Any game.
Oh man, I'd like a better. You know what? I'd say Battlefront 2. I'd like Star Wars Battlefront 2 to like kind of go through because I know they have Vader Immortal, which I haven't played yet. People say it looks great. I've read reviews on it, watched videos on it. It looks really cool. The story was really cool, but I would like to be in that Star Wars world more, like a little bit more open. I know Star Wars Squadron is pretty cool because you can look around your ship while you're fighting. Um, but yeah, that'd probably be it. That or Ratchet and Clank. I think Ratchet and Clank would be a fun game too that you can grapple and shoot around and stuff. I think it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. That Battlefield. I'm sorry, Battlefield.
Battlefront.
That Battlefront game. That the audio needs to be like excellent to really be immersed. You know. But okay, Alan, what do you think about the new PlayStation headset coming to PS5?
I mean, I like it. I'm not a fan of VR per se. It gets me sick every time I've played it. But I like, they have to be innovative in some way and do more things. And VR is a market for some people. So I completely understand the move. I just don't know if console people are into VR as much. I know, but I mean, that's also saying like, computer had it first. So I don't know who the market or who you're targeting for VR because you need certain games to get people to be invested into VR. Even though I thought Resident Evil was hilarious to watch people playing VR because I mean that was spectacular. But I don't know who this is for per se besides the VR people. But if you're not supporting it like Chris says, then you just kind of have people have a VR and they're not playing anything. And then it kind of like, well, why do I have this system or why am I going to buy this accessory if you're not going to have like, at least 20 titles for it minimum. So, like I said, me personally, I don't play VR that much. It gets me sick every time I played it, but I mean, it's a good step. I feel like PlayStation did VR, the original VR had to be somewhat successful for them to be like, hey, we're going to do another one. So,
Project
I mean,
Morpheus.
I'm all for it. Let's see what happens. If I had to pick a game, I think an awesome game would be if you could make a Matrix style game for it. I think like an old school. If you could like either remaster Enter the Matrix and stuff, and like do the whole like when you're getting connected kind of thing, like I think that'd be dope. But who knows?
I think the closest they got to that game was I think it's called like Super Hot or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Super Hot was pretty dope.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah, but to touch on the whole sickness thing, a lot of people, I will say that if you do have the money, right, to be able to get a starter VR and then later on upgrade whenever you build a PC, which I hope. I mean that's where everybody's going. Everybody's going to get a computer. All right, it's way too easy to build one now. What I've learned with my VR set is that you actually have to train yourself like to get used to it. There's different the way you look at VR games with the ratings, like rated E for everyone, teen, and next to it they have for virtual reality, they have a little symbol that tells you like, hey, this is for rookie VR players. So like Beat Saber is considered rookie VR because you're standing there and you're just moving your arms.
Yeah.
Right. I went from I was like, oh, okay, I got Beat Saber, because that's a game that everybody gets. The next game I got was Bonesaw because it looked cool. I want to run around, grab a gun, throw things, But as soon as I moved the analog to walk, my mind was telling me like, hey, your legs aren't moving, but you're moving. Like I'm seeing you move. So what's going on here? And that's when I started to feel sick. So I've been progressively like training, like playing different games that get me up to that like expert VR, like experienced VR player. So I can get used to it because I really want to play Half-Life Alyx and not get sick. So so it's a good. I will say it will probably be a good starter VR set.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I have yet to try any VR headset. So in my eyes, I always saw the PSVR as a good entry point because of the price. And the game's available. I don't know if you guys know, but No Man's Sky is a VR game, and you can actually play it on your Oculus as well.
Oh yeah, I gotta try that
which
too.
is pretty cool. But for me, I think it's a good entry point because it's cheap and because I don't want to spend $1,000 over.
No.
I mean, it's just I don't know if I'm gonna even like it. Am I gonna get sick when I start using it? I have no idea. And there's not a lot of games out there for me to want to spend that much money. And and if I do it, it's just gonna sit there until something does come along that makes me use it. So there's no point, or there hasn't been a point for me to get it. The only other game besides No Man's Sky that even interests me in the least is Half-Life, because it's got great reviews everywhere. So that'd be the only reason. But until I know I have a nice library of games to play, there's no point for me personally. But if I do get a PS5, or when I get a PS5, I will consider the PSVR if the price point is right. So, yeah.
Well, lucky for you, like whenever we're able to actually get together, I'll have to get the VR out and so you guys can try it. Because that's the only reason why I got one, because my brother-in-law had one and I got to try it out. And I was like, yeah, this is something I definitely could see myself playing for hours.
All right, so moving on to story number 2. Let's talk about Metallica's BlizzCon performance that was ruined by Twitch. I'm going to put a link in the chat to the article so you can watch the video. But in the meantime, let me go ahead and read from it.
It should have
This is from Gabe Gerwin over at GameSpot. Quote, "This Metallica performance didn't fade to black, but what happened may have been even worse. The BlizzCon veterans returned for this year's online-only BlizzConline festivities, but the thrash metal band's performance was ruined by a most unlikely culprit, Twitch. Right in the middle of one of its songs, the audio was replaced by some easy-listening bell music, presumably to avoid having Blizzard banned for a false DMCA notice. The clip, which esports expert Rob Breslau shared on Twitter, shows the band rocking out with lead guitarist Kirk Hammett shredding, completely unaware that people were hearing what sounded like the main menu music for a Teletubbies game. On the plus side, that titty snare drum couldn't be heard."
Oh no. I didn't know they did that. Like I just thought they got muted.
I watched this today and
it's classic. Classic.
I couldn't believe that this was something that actually happened. Like, Twitch has a big problem on their hands. How are they going to have a platform that you can stream your games on and not be allowed to have, background music that's this popular? I get it, but they should have worked out some kind of deal with was it called RIA or ASCAP, places like that. They need to have something like that in place, because it's a part of the streaming aspect.
Experience.
You want to have music in the background for your viewers to
if I played it, if I actually played it on the podcast, would we get anything?
No, because the thing is it's bells. Like they literally played DMC free music on the live stream itself. So like we can't get in trouble for it because that's what they did on their stream.
Gotcha.
So I think that's pretty silly. Alan, what do you think about this this whole DMCA nonsense going on with Twitch?
Exactly like you said, it's complete nonsense. I mean, I'm happy it happened just because how ridiculous it was watching it, because I watched it live and I legit walked away for a second. I mean, I love Metallica. I walked away for a second. I'm listening to the song, and then I start hearing these bells and stuff, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe they cut to a waiting screen, until I get back to my screen and I'm seeing them rocking out to legit Teletubbies, walk-in music, and I'm dying at this point. I was laughing so hard I could not I couldn't breathe. It was hilarious because I'm like, did they really just DMC they prevented a DMC strike from themselves, which is interesting because Twitch's whole rule behind this DMC thing doesn't make any sense to me, because you can actually play music if you're live as long as you don't save the VOD. So I don't know if the rule is you can't play it at all if you're a bigger streamer, because I that's what I would assume. it is. But like from what I understood is you can't get a DMC if it's not saved to like your VOD or anything like that. But I don't there's no like real guideline, even though they send people these guidelines. But then you got this whole experience where they were like, oh well, we're gonna have like a soundtrack and get like Twitch is ran by Amazon. And you can get Amazon Music. I don't understand how there's not an Amazon Music and a Twitch partnership in the same company. It makes no sense to me that you can't play if I pay, because the funny thing is you can do a watch party of Amazon Video. Like, so I feel like if you agree to have your music on Amazon Music, then you should be able to use it on Twitch as like part of the guideline, or work out the plan or whatever you have to do. But like also, like we talked about last week, where people are promoting games like through streams and stuff like that, like you're getting a better, like a wide range of marketing, because by like if people are listening to your music, because I know a lot of big streamers who play music and people go, oh, what's that song, or what's the name of that song, and they go download it or they go find it or go seek it out. And I feel, and the funny thing is that you have some of these streamers who are legit asking some of these indie artists, hey, can I use your music, and they're saying yes. So like I know it's a whole record label thing and the music industry is just, the music industry, but Twitch really needs to find a way to fix these guidelines and like legit say, hey, Amazon, we're under the same umbrella. If they have Amazon Music, can they use their music? That's it.
Yeah,
And that's how I feel about that.
I'm one of those streamers that tried to ask an artist to let me stream their music. It's still pending. Alan Stone. It's been probably 6 months. 6 months now. Anyway, there's no surprise here, man. There's no surprise, and it's
No.
I think this was a wake up call for Twitch, because it's embarrassing, man. It's you're shooing away people, because now you lost all those people. Probably went to the normal BlizzCon link to watch the show, because they're like, if they do another live performance, I'm not missing out. Like, you know what I mean? So it already takes people away from your site and jumps over to the next site, and you're losing your viewers. It doesn't work out that way. I wanted to know. They don't have a comment from Metallica at all, right? They probably didn't even know. They're like, I don't even know what a Twitch is. Whatever.
No.
That's
Actually,
crazy.
Oh yeah. You're no, nothing. To me, the fact that Twitch, being as big as they are, couldn't they have, thought ahead and been like, hey, artists, can we use your music? Blah blah. It just doesn't make sense. I would understand a small streamer, a nobody, just using really popular music, but somebody as big as Twitch, like that sounds like poor planning on my end, on their end.
The thing is that most of the DMC strikes are actually botted. It's not like a human is actually listening to your stream, because I mean realistically you've got millions of people streaming now, so like they can't just go into everyone's stream to actually listen. But I think what was happening was like, oh, we didn't turn off that bot system, so like once this VOD gets saved, or if we have to send that video out to Blizzard or to get on YouTube or whatever the case may be, like it's going to get DMC'd if it's saved. So we didn't want it to be banned, because BlizzCon is, a 3-day event. So like they didn't want their channel to get banned, because that's also a whole process that's automated. So if they would have gotten banned, they would have to go through the whole system of unbanning them before the next show started, which I guess they didn't, like you said, didn't plan ahead. So they were completely like, I guess panicked, and was like, let's play some elevator music.
So, with that being said, do you think that Twitch would be in trouble if they get another competitor that has that worked out, that has that musical element, ready to go for streamers? Or do you think Twitch is just too big to really be toppled by a starter?
I think it's a combination. I think it's hard because the simple fact that you have to be able to have a certain backing, and realistically, you need a lot of the top people to leave Twitch. Because I mean, Mixer tried it, and Mixer came in with a lot of money, and they came in with a lot of like power, trying to back their service and stuff like that. And they got big names, but we saw what happened with that. I mean, they didn't. You have to be innovative in a certain way because it's always hard to pull people from the first thing. So like if you it's you can pull some people away, but it's always like Twitch is always going to be, well, this is the first platform a lot of people know about, you know what I mean? And now that they're backed by Amazon, they also have an unlimited amount of money now. So it's like, hey, this big streamer, you guys do you want to leave really, because we can offer you X amount of money now. And I mean, they can sign people now that they didn't have that resource in the past. So I think it would be a nice element and some people would leave, but I just think Twitch and YouTube, like as separate kind of entities, are just in their league of their own. Like you can't create another style of YouTube and you can't create another style of Twitch. It's just I think if YouTube is the only person or only company I think that can make a difference, because they already have such a huge platform already. And then a lot of the people who are like have big names on Twitch are also big YouTubers. So I think if YouTube could fix their system and make it like really work really well, because it's hard to find a live stream on YouTube. Like it's not as easy as it is on Twitch. Like the whole follow system is all wacky and stuff like that. But I think if they fix that for live streaming, since they have such a big audience already, I think they're the only people that can compete with Twitch if they really got serious about live streaming.
And
what about you, Chris?
Well, just real quick for the podcasters, we'll have the links in the description so you guys can listen to it. I will prepare it next time, like where we can just share the screen and play those little jingles and stuff like that. For me, I mean, I don't really have much else to say about it. I agree with Alan with the whole contract. Like it's going to be a while, in my opinion, for that, because everybody's going for that cash grab. All right. So whenever Mixer came out and Ninja went over, right, and they offered the contract, YouTube did the same thing. They started pulling people and trying to offer contracts to try to not try to beat out Twitch, but like, just to show like, hey, we're here. But so far, none of them have changed anything. Everybody's still the same. You know what I mean? So even when just the whole DMCA thing apparently was, I mean, it's always been there on Twitch, correct? Like it's always been a thing. It's just recently it's just starting to crack down. And unfortunately, it's only for the bigger streamers. It's only for that giant brand, and that's it, because it's easy to click on the front page and be like, oh, that guy's listening to music, bye. Whereas me, like, if I'm all the way at the bottom of a list, they're be like, oh, yeah, like, you're not going to catch me as quickly.
Yeah.
But as for, like, the Metallica thing, man, I don't have much else to say. I'm not surprised it happened, and I'm hoping that they are working on it as we speak. Yeah. They have to fix it. They have to fix it, because it should... It also hurts, like in my opinion, because I just thought about this. It hurts the I don't know how it works for the music. There's a music genre on Twitch. There's a whole like how we're in the just chatting genre for podcasting. There's a whole music genre. There's a guy I watched that I think his name's Seth Drums, and he just like his whole stream is him in a studio jamming out on the drum set. Like what happens there? You know what I mean?
Well, for that it's different, because like if it's his own style of music, or like if he's not.
He's playing over tracks. He's playing like he'll go to YouTube. People request tracks and the like. Oh, play to this, and he adds his own fills to the music.
Well, that changes the DMC law right there. So like it's not the same because you're adding or changing. It's like a cover. Like YouTube can't DMC a cover of a song if you're not, because certain elements of the song is changing. So it's not the same exact song.
Gotcha. Well, then there you go. That's different.
All right, so let's move on to the next story. Days Gone is coming to PC as well as some other games. This is from Ethan Gatch over at Kotaku. He says, quote, open world zombie slaughter sim Days Gone will be the latest first-party Sony game to get ported to PC, British GQ reports in a new interview with Sony Interactive boss Jim Ryan. The news was later confirmed on Twitter by Days Gone maker Sony Bend Studio. Quote, what about PlayStation games on PC? A whole slate of them is on the way, starting with Days Gone this spring, the magazine writes. Sony began bringing its coveted PS4 exclusives to PC last July with Death Stranding, followed in August by Horizon Zero Dawn. The company announced in an investor call around the same time that would continue to explore bringing first-party games to the platform, and Bend Studios' 2019 third-person action game will be next. Are you guys excited to have more PS4 or PlayStation exclusives on PC?
For sure.
Chris.
I'm very excited. I'm because my PC right now is obviously stronger than the PlayStation. I mean, it's gonna be. It's gonna be a rough start, right? Because we saw it with Horizon Zero Dawn, where it had a very rough start. I wanted to get it for the PC, but apparently it just did not work for the longest time. Now, if you look at it though, those comments on Steam and everything is mostly positive. People are loving it. I think it's the right move, and I'm glad we have something like Steam that they're able to do that on. Because if Microsoft was running by Steam, we would not see any PlayStation games on here. You know what I mean? But I'm glad that everybody's able to give these games a chance, because God of War, so many people wanted to play it, and they're able to support it even more now throughout the thing. The only complaint I have is whenever they port these games, they come at full price. Whereas and that's where they start to lose some people, because it's just like, oh, I might as well just invest in a console and
Horizon wasn't full price.
No, it was $40, I believe.
Yeah, with
was
everything.
it?
Yeah, with all the DLC. But yeah, continue.
Well, then there you go. What about Death Stranding? Because Death Stranding was a little bit newer than
that was full price.
That
for sure.
Yeah, that was $60.
Yeah.
But that game, the port for that game was pretty close to release. I don't think it took a year, did it? I don't know. Actually, I'm not sure.
It took a while. You want to go ahead and finish your thoughts
there? It's gonna be that thing where it's just we're gonna start seeing it more consistently. I don't know what the time frames are for. I'm pretty sure they're gonna start doing that thing where whenever they do a presentation, it's like, oh, Horizon Forbidden West, and plays first on PlayStation, comes to PC this date, and it'll be like 6 months later or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing that a lot more. I'm kind of glad the way it's going, because it's just a way for. I finally feel like the companies are actually working for gamers, not just for. They're still going for the cash grab, but at least for this, it's just like we made something great and we want everybody to experience it. The console war thing of like trying to get this system or that system is kind of going out the window slowly, and I hope it continues going that way.
Which PlayStation exclusive would you like to see on PC next?
Ooh.
Do you think something like Uncharted or Last of Us will ever see a PC release?
I feel like Uncharted should come to PC, because you have because Tomb Raider's on PC. You can have a whole genre of those games. I feel like there's not a lot of adventure games for any other console except for PlayStation right now. That's in that aspect, like treasure hunting games and stuff like that. It's to say, I'm wondering. I mean, I want to get your opinions on this too. I know, like, how Bethesda got bought by Microsoft, and they're doing the Indiana Jones game, right? It's from Bethesda, or is it from? Okay, yeah. So it's probably gonna be Xbox exclusive, but it's gonna be on PC. You know what I mean? So I'm wondering if PlayStation plans on partnering with somebody, and in my opinion, it's probably like if they were gonna go with somebody, it'd probably be Epic Games or something. But it's just like, hey, it's gonna be on PlayStation and Epic Games, like, and they'll continue their partnership that way. But I wanted.
So, is there any specific game you want for PC?
When you said Uncharted, but also, man, I would love probably Ghost of Tsushima right now. I think Ghost of Tsushima should be on PC for sure. I think because they added online, I'd love to see that port, and that game deserves way more praise than it has now.
What about you, Alan? What do you think about Days Gone coming to PC along with other games? And which game would you like to see come to PC?
I love that Sony is doing this. I do think they're doing this for separate cause, though. I do believe they are doing this so that they can still get people to buy a PlayStation. I just think they're using a different strategy, a very unique strategy, which I am all for because I understand. I think what they're doing is we're going to release our games on our consoles first. We're going to make you wait a year or two or whatever, how long they are. And by the time you've played it on PC, the next version of that game should be out. So like, if you notice, Horizon Zero Dawn came out in the summer. By the time Horizon Zero Dawn 2 has come out, people have already had about the same amount of time that they played it on PlayStation. So now, if I want to play the next Horizon Zero Dawn, I have to go get a PS5. So I don't think and then they're going to make you wait because it's like, hey, you're going to wait 2 years, or are you going to get a PlayStation? And there's going to be a percentage of people who are like, well, I'm not going to wait 2 years. I want to play Horizon because I love it that much, and I'm going to go buy a PlayStation. So I think that's the way that they're doing it, which is very smart because you're still opening the fan base, and you're giving more people an opportunity to play these games, which is really, to me, is the point, is to get as many people as you can to play these games. But I still think Sony's doing it kind of selfishly, just so you can still go out and buy Sony products. I don't think they're doing it as cohesive as Microsoft for a reason, because like I feel like with Microsoft, it is more of a like, well, you have to have Windows on your PC. So if you get a PC, you're most likely getting Windows anyway. So there's no point of us not putting it on PC at the same time as we put it on our console, because more than likely you have to have Windows 10 anyway. So they're like, well, you're gonna have to buy this operating system anyway. So you know what? Here you go. And I think that's why it's so cohesive for Microsoft. But with Sony, like I said, I think they're doing it this way, and it's great because everyone's going to get a chance to play these games. I do wish that it's not as rough at the beginning, because every title they've had that has come out as a port has been like problematic. But I think they'll work out the kinks the more they come out. And I agree with you. I think Uncharted would be like the perfect game, because not only could you sell the collector's edition and then have about 3 games, you could have like, even if you wanted to start off slow, you could just do 1 and 2, and then obviously, like stagger 3, or you can have them all come out at the same time, kind of thing. Or you can do kind of like what Microsoft did with the Master Chief Collection, where you have them come out, like you have part 1 come out, you wait about 2 months, and then you have part 2 come out. And I think it'd be a nice spread, and still have them just pay the one price for it, but just have a staggered release for it. I think that'd be one of the best games they could release on. Also, Uncharted 2 is just a masterpiece. So there's that.
Yeah, I'm all for having PlayStation exclusives on PC. I would love, love, love to play Uncharted again, all of them. And as far as which ones I think would come to PC, it'd probably be the Nathan Drake collection, just right off the bat. 1, 2, was it 1, 2, 3, and then have 4 released later on. But yeah, I really want to see Uncharted. Last of Us would be a great game to play on PC and high fidelity and all that. And I think this is a great thing for PC players to have such high quality games.
I just feel like they're gonna have. I think the one thing that's gonna cause them problems is that with PlayStation exclusives, obviously they're building towards the system. The studio is using PlayStation 5 systems to make to make the game, and now that we have haptic senses in the controller and stuff like that, I'm wondering if that coding and stuff is gonna mess with the game.
Well, because the thing is, you could have that feature turned off.
I mean, you can turn it off, yeah, but if it's there, like how is the?
Well, that's what I'm saying. They would just send the coding of the turned off version, not it with it. Like,
yeah, but they're not gonna do that at first. What's that?
Huh?
Which specific controller features are you guys talking about? You talking about the new DualSense?
Yeah. So
I mean, but for older games though, older games won't use it because they're last gen anyways.
No, they won't use it. But I'm saying for the new, as we get into the newer generation of games, will it affect it? And yeah, we say like, oh, they'll send it without that coding, but at first they're just gonna be like, yeah, port it over and let's go. I think
actually, Steam has already been working with PlayStation for the previous controller to have those kind of features enabled on Steam games. So that's Steam. I don't know if Epic Games will do the same thing or GOG or anything like that. But yeah, they have the ability to have what do they call the
haptic?
The haptic information work for PC. So I think it'll just matter of time before the DualSense has everything working on PC ports. So yeah.
Yeah, and also the company that makes the PlayStation controller is actually working out deals to make other consoles controllers. There's this is like a deep cut rumor, and this is only because I'm into stocks, but they are in talks with Microsoft currently, actually, into making Microsoft controllers from here on out. But we'll see if that deal happens. I hope it does, and that's completely for selfish reasons. But I do hope that
Yeah.
it does happen.
But going back real quick, since we're because I brought up the haptic thing, back to the PSVR game changer. Because I'm thinking about it. If they get a controller, right? If I can get a controller like the Oculus controller, the hand controllers, they feel really comfortable with the haptic senses. It's a game changer. That'll that one. At that point I'd be like, oh man, I kind of want to, because like pulling back on a bow and stuff, it feels great. So
I think it will happen just because the same company I was talking about is like they have the contract to make any pretty much like they're actually probably the company that's going to be making the VR itself because they have the whole contract for PlayStation accessories.
Mhm.
So they might actually be making that also.
Sweet. All right, let's move on to story number 4. Avatar finds a new showrunner. This is from Alyssa Evans over at Screen Rant. Quote, Netflix's upcoming Avatar: The Last Airbender live-action series has officially found a new showrunner. The original Nickelodeon animated series aired from 2005 to 2008, but experienced a revival in popularity when all 3 seasons hit Netflix in May of 2020. The show now boasts its longest consecutive run on Netflix's list of top 10 TV series and the title of the streamer's most watched animated kids show in 2020. With that kind of popularity, inevitably comes talks of reboots, sequels, and spin-offs. Brian Konietzko, I don't know how to say that, and Michael Dante DiMartino, the creators of Avatar: The Last Airbender, followed up the original series with The Legend of Korra, which centered around Aang's successor as the Avatar and was generally well received among fans. M. Night Shyamalan also adapted the original series into a less successful 2010 live-action film that was panned by fans and critics alike. In September 2018, Netflix confirmed Konietzko and DiMartino were on board to develop a live-action Avatar series, but the duo exited the project in August of 2020 due to creative differences. Okay, so what do you guys think about this?
Specifically picked this story to get Alan mad. No, I'm kidding.
He did. No, he did. He did.
I love Avatar a lot. I just wanted to share my frustration with it. It should say something when the original creators leave. When they leave and say this is not how it should be, and they leave.
Hold on one second. Just so people know, the person taking over is Albert Kim, who has done stuff for Sleepy Hollow and Nikita.
Good show.
And Leverage. So yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
That's the new showrunner, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm going in with it with low expectations, right? We want the best out of it. Because the last live action, which you just said, the M. Night Shyamalan, was
Never
awful. It should have never happened anyway. Like the one clip in my head that I always play anytime somebody mentions that movie is like whenever the the Earthbenders, they have 4 Earthbenders and they're doing like a dance, like a stomp dance, and a little pebble floats across the screen. It's the one. I gotta send it to you. It's the best. It's the best. But it's
people told me to skip that movie, so I haven't seen it.
Do not watch it.
Don't watch it.
Yeah, I loved Avatar, so
do not watch it.
Not to.
So, as your friend, do not watch it.
Avatar. I just I think what's gonna probably draw me back in is whenever they start releasing like cast name, like who's gonna play what. But already seeing other stuff, like I saw another article about this that they're already changing some small stuff. I don't know how it's gonna play out, but Katara is gonna actually be older than Sokka. She's gonna be an older sister instead of a they said she's gonna be like 16, 17. Aang's gonna be 12 still. 16,
which is
so I mean, like I said, it's like the small things like that, and it's one of those things that I read. I'm like, okay, that's not a big deal, but also like, why did you tell us that? Like, what's going on with this? So I'm worried about it. I really hope that it's gonna be a good thing. I hope it's well done. They have that Netflix money, so yeah. But I want to get obviously Alan's opinions on it.
Go ahead, Alan. What do you think?
All right, so here we go. I'm sorry in advance, but listen to me. There is no way in Netflix, I don't know what you're doing, because there's no way you can have creative differences with the creators of the show. So it doesn't make any sense to me that you allowed the creators of the show to walk away from the show that with creative differences when they're the creators. You can, like, to me, this is like one of the biggest like blunders Netflix has ever done, because this doesn't make sense to me. I don't get how this whole process happened, or how but you can't have the guys who created the show and go, hey, we're going to leave because you guys can't agree with what we created. Like, they should have instantly been like, guys, stop. However much money, we're wrong. We understand, you guys, this is your baby. You guys have been with the show from the beginning. Like, whatever you guys need, you should, like, they shouldn't even be in the way. Netflix shouldn't have even been in the office. They should have just been like, hey, whatever you guys need, let us know. That's it. Changing the age of Katara is, to me, is a big issue, because, like, if you guys know the story of Avatar, and I'm not gonna like ruin it for the people who haven't seen it, but like, if you know the story, then that becomes an issue later. Like, that becomes an issue for the things that are supposed to happen in the future. So that already, to me, is not a good change already. And then you have, like I said, like, you can't, you just, it just doesn't make any sense to me. So, and I haven't liked any of, I personally haven't liked any of Netflix's adaptations to things that were live action. Like Death Note, wasn't a fan of that. Like, you can't, like, they messed up Death Note. And I mean, it's Death Note. Like, it's not really that hard to, like, just make Death Note like the same thing. It's just make it the same. What are we doing?
You have the script there, yeah.
So it's like, it's not difficult. So this show, by making these changes, just don't even make it if you're going to make these changes. And I know people want to be creative. Put the money towards something else. That's why I feel. Have people just watch Avatar. Like, if you want people to understand that story, we don't need another live action. You're just doing this so people can so you can make more money. Because the thing is, you made more money once Avatar went to Netflix anyway.
It's because it's relevant right now, yeah.
Now you're just being greedy, which is super annoying to me. And I don't like, it's just like, there's a movie, like, kind of just talk to this point, but Train to Busan, they're making an American version of Train to Busan, and it's like, that movie was perfect already. Just have people watch the original movie. I understand why we're doing this whole like creative thing, and then people are going to go watch it, and then me being upset, I'm going to watch it, and it just, they always get us and in these things, because I need to watch it so I can figure out if it's going to be good or not. And I already know going in, I'm going to be upset because the changes are going to be more drastic than I want them to be as a huge fan of Avatar. I mean, that was literally my first tattoo. So I'm very upset that the showrunners are not having a part of the show they created. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, because that's like telling me, hey, I'm taking your child and I'm going to raise it now.
Yeah,
you don't matter anymore.
It doesn't make it like
you don't matter anymore. So I completely agree with everything you said, because I'm going to go into it cautiously optimistic, right? I don't pay for Netflix. T-Mobile does that for me, so it's not like I'll be losing out on anything. But I'll have an open mind, right? But just based on, one, not having the creators involved and changing some story elements, I feel like that's just a tragedy waiting to happen. Like, what else have they planned that they haven't said anything about yet? Because I know the fans will be pissed off. But that being said, I am going to be cautiously optimistic about it, and I will keep an open mind until a certain point, because I've watched the entirety of Avatar 3 times now, one by myself, one with Avery, which she loved, so it was like a bonding thing. And that show just has so many life lessons, right? It's unexpected how deep that show is, and it just like hit me like, what the heck did I just watch? So, which is why I watched it so many times. So I am kind of weary. Like, should I give it a chance or not? But I'm gonna see what happens, and we'll go from there, and then I'm sure we'll talk about it. once
Yeah.
it finally airs,
for
if
sure.
it even airs.
That's what I was
So
just about to
That's another
say.
thing.
yeah,
I was just about to
But
say
yeah,
that. Like I'm glad we brought it up, right? Because if it comes out and we watch it, I'm gonna clip this. We're gonna come back to episode 4. I'm gonna write everything down, and it's either gonna be like we were all right, but I really don't think. I'm gonna call it now. I'm gonna be bold about it. I don't think it's coming out, and if it does come out, I think they're gonna turn it into another movie. I think they're just gonna try to make a quick movie out of it, so they can say their money didn't go to waste. But in my opinion, I do not think that show's gonna come out at all.
I think it's going to come out because I feel like that's something that at this point, now that you've had the creators leave, I feel like Netflix is going to try to prove a point to be like, oh, we're Netflix and we can do this kind of thing. And I think also just because of how big Disney Plus's lineup is about to be within the next year, like 2 years and stuff, Netflix is going to need something that draws people, especially that age audience, because we know if you can bring in the kids, the adults have to watch it too, and then you just have a whole you have more of a viewership because the kids are like, "Hey, I want Netflix," and then the parents get them Netflix so that they can watch this stuff. So I mean, and like I said, with Disney coming out with their ridiculous lineup from obviously WandaVision, starting like from WandaVision to like they've got like the next 3 years of just TV content and things coming out that's going to be like I think Netflix has to come out with it. I just think they're going I don't want to say it's going to be bad because I feel like Netflix does make great TV, and I'm not going to sit here and say like I haven't enjoyed a lot of Netflix, but they also make a lot of bad TV like that that we kind of shy away because we only talk about the good stuff, but they make a lot of misses also. So I'm hoping that this show is not a miss. Also, just to go back to the M Night movie, the worst part of this is how I knew that movie was going to when they were saying "ong" instead of "ang." When you M Night, seriously, dude, you literally had the creators of the show. You listened to it. It's not even like you read it and you still pronounced his name wrong. That's when I was like, oh, we're done. This movie's gonna be bad. So that's my take.
I've never finished it. I've never finished it. I always get to
the movie.
The movie. No, the show I've seen many times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and not to be dramatic, but that Avatar literally changed my life.
Yeah, it has.
It literally made me a more spiritual person. And all of the stuff because that show it hit home on so many fronts. To anytime you watch an episode, it's just from friendships to spirituality to Uncle Iroh.
I was just about to say that
Iroh is you know what I mean? And I mean, one of the episodes that literally made me cry. I'm not gonna say it.
Don't say it because
but everyone knows, like I said, everyone knows, and that's how impactful that show was. I don't even have to say the name of the episode, and everybody knows exactly what episode.
Yeah.
So it's just fantastic. So I really hope they don't mess it up because like I said, kind of like with the Sony and the computer thing, where I like bringing new audiences so they can see this stuff that I enjoyed, and it's more of a talking point. But I really hope they don't mess it up.
Also, since we're short on time, I can't really explain it, but look up that if you know what episode we're talking about, look up the backstory to the episode, and that'll hit you even harder of what the whole thing's about.
All right, so let's move on. We were originally going to talk about Amazon Luna for a bit, but we are short on time. We have to get to our theme of the show. But Alan, if you could just give us a quick rundown of what Luna is, and if you can show us that sweet controller you got.
All right. So Luna is yes, yeah, exactly. This will lead to that. So Luna is basically Amazon's new cloud gaming system. This is their new controller. It's very nice. It's only $40 if you have the early access. I believe they're letting people in if you just sign up. But I am going to do a cloud gaming system video. It won't be the next video I do, but it's going to be within the rotation at some point. But basically, it's a cloud gaming. It has it's ran by Amazon. It's cloud latency on the controllers, and I'll go into full depth about it when we have I'll actually make a video on it so you guys can know. So check that out.
Sweet. All right, so let's head into our theme for the show. So for this week, I had the guys come up with what they thought was one overhyped game that did well, sold well, and was critically, well received, but that they thought was overhyped or just wasn't as good. And then one game that was completely underestimated by people. So with that being said, let's start with Alan. Can you tell me what
Thank you.
your overhyped game is, and
So
tell us a few reasons why?
I'm going to get a lot of pushback for this because this is a lot of people's favorite version of this game. So my game is Final Fantasy VII, and before you guys come after me,
The remake, right?
know that I'm a huge not the remake.
Oh,
the remake's amazing.
okay.
The original is
Yeah.
I mean the remake's actually amazing.
Yeah.
But the I love Final Fantasy. I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. I love I love it, and I do love 7. My issue with 7 is a lot of people remember 7 completely different now because of all of the stories and all of the things that were added to it post its release. When that game originally came out, no one knew what the story was. No one knew what was going on. The combat system was great, but besides that, the whole story plot was terrible. Like, it was all over the place. It was jumbled. Like, it was insane to the stuff. Like, people were just like, I don't really know what's going on. And when that game came out in '97, one of the biggest reasons why it was the biggest Final Fantasy is because, spoiler alert, so spoiler alert, that a character actually dies in that game. And that was the first Final Fantasy that a character actually that you played with permanently died. So they I feel like everyone kind of hypes that moment up, and because the game's characters were so great, because the characters are great, but those characters aren't that great in the game that they're in. Like, Sephiroth is a better version of himself in Kingdom Hearts than he is in the original Final. Like, and Cloud is a better version of himself in Kingdom Hearts than he is in Final Fantasy VII. So, like, it's interesting to me because, and I feel like when that game came out, it wasn't like, everyone was kind of like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. And it was kind of like when you play it, and that's a game I've beat multiple times. It's kind of when you play it now, and like at the time when I originally played it, it was kind of like, it's kind of like, but now knowing all of the story elements, like, it was also a game that didn't have all of its story within the game. Like, they made so many side things so that you can explain the game, so that it finally made the original game make sense, which is why I love the remake, because the remake explains all of that in a shorter time, and it's going to be a longer process. So that's my game, because that's how I feel about that.
My first experience with Final Fantasy was the remake. I've never played any of them. I was just doing like one of the podcasts I listened to kind of did like a book club thing on it, so it made me kind of play it. But listening to them compare it to the original, they were very hyped about it. They were big fans of the original, and that's actually on my list. So I'm probably gonna keep an eye out for for all the
a lot
stuff
of people
saying.
love that game. It is a good game. I'm not saying that it's not good. It's just at the time when that game came out, it's not what it is now. Like, comparatively, like with all of the stories that they didn't leave out. Like, if you played Final Fantasy VII with like no context of what has happened in the last 30 years now, or 20 years, or whatever how long it's been, like, it is a completely like convoluted, weird, doesn't make any sense story. So that's just me.
All right, so I'll go ahead and talk about my overhyped game, and that one is PUBG. Okay, so yeah, I know it's surprising. It's surprising because PUBG was my most played game for like the longest time. I love the heck out of that game.
Because it was the only battle royale out besides H1.
It was the game that pretty much introduced or brought to light the battle royale genre. It kickstarted it. So I love the idea of having to work your way all the way to the end and be the last one standing. That was such a cool and innovative idea at that time, and to be able to play it on Xbox was really cool after seeing it on PC. The gameplay was super exciting. You had to make sure you had all the loot ready, your weapons were good to go, and you had to know the map because otherwise you would just get shot from a mile away. And the map was beautiful. It was huge, open world. I think that was the first time that we had something this big in a multiplayer game, right? I can't think of another game that was besides
Probably GTA, right? But I wouldn't consider it. I mean, it's not a battle
Yeah, but-
royale, but it's like multiplayer. Yeah.
But H1's map was pretty big, if I remember
Yeah.
it correctly.
But the
It was-
way they didn't H1's map, the way they got away with it though was that they didn't put a lot in it. It's a lot
no,
of the
yeah,
same.
it wasn't.
Like they just kind of
Yeah.
copied and pasted neighborhoods around.
Well,
you
yeah,
went
and
into
they
the
didn't
houses.
put like you couldn't go into every. H1.
Yeah, yeah.
I think you're
Yeah.
right, Yendi. I think it was
So,
like one of the biggest.
But the reason why I think it was overhyped is because it was constantly in a state of beta alpha testing, right? It would always crash. Almost every single game for the first few days, first week when it came out on Xbox, there would be a crash. You know, you'd get down to like the top 10, and then boom, you crash out. The textures were terrible, or they wouldn't pop in at all. Or you would just see blurs everywhere. The buildings would just be look like clay models of the buildings.
The rendering
loot-
was awful.
Yeah, the loot in the beginning was way too random, and there's no real hot spots to go. Like you didn't really have a place to go. Like eventually the school became the hot spot, you know, and just visual glitches everywhere. And that's mainly why I think it was overhyped, because when it worked fine, but a majority of the time you have to deal with crashes, with crappy graphics, and just infuriating gameplay at times. So that is my overhyped game.
Was that also the first game to start like introducing like putting the early access title on the game?
No.
Like because after that I felt like after a while all these games were just like, hey, it's an early access.
For Xbox, possibly.
Yeah,
But there's been a lot of them on Steam. Yeah.
early access
So-
has been around for a while, but Xbox had that special preview plan.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Okay,
that you could do, but it was like Xbox. It was one of Xbox's like original preview games. So yeah, in that sense, it was like one of its first ones.
All right, Chris, can you tell us why you think Skyward Sword is overhyped?
Yeah, my pick was Skyward Sword. All right, I kind of thought of this when Yendi asked us to do this. I didn't think of this correctly, but anyway, Skyward Sword recently announced for the HD version coming out. I feel like with the overhype, it's gonna the remake of it, or not the remake, but the report of it for the Switch is gonna fix a lot of these issues. This game got 10s all across the board from different companies. Specifically, I always read Game Informer and stuff like that. They gave it a perfect 10. But the thing is obviously it's a Zelda game, right? A lot of the Zelda games come out hot. They always get the perfect score or close to a perfect score, and everybody loves them. But for this one specifically, it got so it was what brought it down was just the controller play. So a lot of people love the story. They love the gameplay. They think this is a lot of people's top Zelda, even above Breath of the Wild.
Ocarina.
No, not Ocarina. Breath of the Wild. There's actually quite a few people that don't like Breath of the Wild at all, and I think it was a perfect game. I love that game to death. But the gameplay, if you go back on YouTube or anything and you watch people play it, you have a Wii, like a ghost Wii controller on the right side of the screen that just never leaves. It stays right there the whole game. And usually it's only in the beginning whenever you're training and it's teaching you like, oh, press A to, jump. No, it just stays there. There's no turning it off. Also, the motion controls, I get that they liked the idea like, oh, people are, swinging, you get to swing a sword and stuff like that. But after a while, like, I want to put my hours into this game. I don't want to have to keep swinging my arm sitting on the couch, like, do the thing. So I think the HD version, I think it was very overhyped for that reason. It was just kind of, it was kind of like whenever the Wii came out and it was just a new thing that it was just like, oh my gosh, you get to move around and you're controlling the game yourself instead of just using a controller. You actually have to move to get your character to do something. And it actually ended up being its like downfall. So I'm excited for the HD version to come out so I can actually I don't mind the whole analog swiping sword thing. I think I'll be okay with that. But yeah, that was my game.
All right, and tell us why you think Mirror's Edge was underestimated.
Mirror's Edge, okay. Mirror's Edge is in my top 10 games of all time.
Oh,
Yes.
Dang.
I love that game so much. The original, the Catalyst or Mirror's Edge Catalyst I liked a lot too because it brought up open world, and I think they could continue the series. I really do think they continue, but it didn't get enough support. It was kind of one of those games that just flew under the radar, and the way I got into it was I think I was playing on my Xbox 360, and it was advertised that they had a free demo on the store, and I tried it, and back then my dad only let me get one game a year. He was very strict on video games, and every game I picked, I had to make sure like, okay, I can replay this, beat it all the way through, and stuff like that. And that was a game I beat at least 4 or 5 times. It's like next to Portal for me. Like Portal, I can just jump in and just play the whole game over and over again. Yeah, it's underestimated, man. The gameplay, the parkour, everything. I loved the whole story of. I wish they kind of tapped more into the messenger story, like because you're basically a messenger in the game, but it takes a whole twist and turn of getting framed and everything like that. But yeah, it's a game that I think everybody should definitely check out. I think the Catalyst is actually on Game Pass, so you can try it out. But the mechanics of that game was great. I know a lot of people are gonna roast me for like, oh, they just copy and pasted the hallways, that just reverse the hallways. Still great. It was smooth. I love the first person running aspect of it.
Well, yours is it's a good pick for underestimated. Mine, on the other hand, is going to be very controversial with a lot of people, but I don't know what it was. I can't tell you guys what it is, but my underestimated game was The Order 1886, one of the original launch titles for the PlayStation 4. I'm telling you, it had to be like the right mix of everything in order to be on this list right now, because it came out during a time where I was exhausted, just playing the same kind of games over and over, just putting in 10, 12, 20, 30 hours into games. I didn't want to do that anymore. At that time, I think Dark Souls, the series, was super popular.
Yeah,
that got old quick to me because I hate getting my ass beat like 24/7. It's like nonsense. So for me, I think the Order 1886 was underestimated because it had a small world. It was small and linear, but it had this had something about it that seemed very fleshed out. Like if they would have explored more, or maybe not have been as linear as they were, I think that would have definitely added to the experience. Graphically, for the time, whenever the PS4 came out, it was beautiful. There's no denying that game was absolutely beautiful, and it really showed what the PS4 could do. The quick time events, which was a lot of people's like biggest negative with the game, that pretty much all the fights were just quick time events, where you just button smash a button. I found that to be relaxing. I found it to be a nice way to just coast through the game, coast through the story. And speaking of which, the story itself was short. I think the game only took like 6 hours at most if you really took your time. But I liked the story. I liked how it ended. And I really do think that if it would have sold a little bit better and they made a sequel, that sequel could have been a complete hit because of how solid a foundation they had, I think, with the original game. So I am looking forward to a sequel to them. I know that the studio now is no longer a Sony exclusive anymore, I believe, or the title, the IP is no longer Sony exclusive. So I hope and pray, cross my fingers, that they do make a new Order game, because I will play it. Like, I was generally 1000% surprised. I'm like, why are people hating this game?
It wasn't. But I don't think it was a hate. Like, I didn't hate it. It didn't pull me in as quick. I gave it time, and it just didn't pull me in. But you're not the only one, Yenny, because I looked it up. I might have to give this game another chance on the side while we're in this, period of like no games. But 3.9 from GameStop, 6.5 on IGN, and 63% on Metacritic. And a lot of the comments are like, the game's not bad at all. Like, it just, like, the ending's great. It just, same thing with what you said. It's just like they got to, the people that didn't play it that are saying it sucked. There's people defending it that said, like, you have to get to a certain point and then you'll see why it's a good game. So I guess it just didn't
And
have
the setting,
it just
was
didn't
so
have a strong
cool.
start.
You know,
But
it's just like the characters were good. The setting was awesome. It was like Victorian era, and you had weapons and stuff. It was such a badass concept for the time. That it's just, I think that's part of what drew me in as well. Alan, you got any thoughts on the most underrated game of the decade?
No, I do have some thoughts. I disagree.
No, no to
Uh,
what?
I disagree about it being the most of that decade. I think
Okay.
what happened with and I'll give it another go, but I did play halfway through that game and I couldn't beat it. But I think what happened was that game was really hyped in the sense of
Oh yeah.
before it came out. Like, and a lot of people were like, this is going to be the best game we've played. And because it was, beginning of the year, beginning of the PS4's launch, everyone was like, this is going to be
yeah,
fantastic. It's going to show
2015.
you, yeah, it's going to show you all the power of the PS4, which graphically I 100% agree. The graphics on that game was phenomenal. But like the gameplay to me was just not what I felt they promised. And I think also back in 2015, I would go in with an expectation and I was like, oh, I'm expected to play like one of the best games I've ever played. And then
Mhm.
I played it and then I was kind of like, this game's kind of boring to me. Like I wasn't really thrilled with anything. I didn't feel like it did anything new personally. I just felt like at the time when I was playing it, I was just playing like a game that I've already played before. And I think that's why for me, I think is I believed that hype. And then when I played it, it just wasn't the hype that I thought it would be. So that could be a me thing. So
Mhm.
who
Cool,
knows?
Alan. Let us know why you thought that Sleeping Dogs was underestimated.
Oh my gosh, Sleeping Dogs, it to me is the best game, the most underrated game that anyone has like never played. It's basically GTA, but it's all kung fu. So like me being a person who loves karate games, who loves karate, who loves kung fu movies, who loves all that stuff, this game literally spoke to me. And it was just like you're literally this character and it's GTA. You can drive cars, you can steal cars. You actually had this game gave you a choice because in the game you're actually a cop and you could be that good. It was one of the first games that I played that was like kind of like Infamous, where it was like good cop, bad cop. Like you could have a good cop, like, and then depending on what you picked, you got different move sets from that. So like if I went the good cop route, you could you get like a completely different set of moves and a different set of buffs and stuff like that. And the game was super detailed. It was made by Square Enix, and I played this game. This game came out in 2012, and I know this because I got it the day before my birthday because that's when it came out. And I was like, I literally played this game my whole birthday in 2012. Like I played this game for maybe 10 hours straight on my birthday, and it was an Xbox 360 game. I think it came out for all of them, but this game had everything. It had the fast cars. It had the combat system was amazing. You could go to different dojos to learn different moves. Like I actually have bought the game 3 times. I have it for Xbox 360, PlayStation, and I just recently bought it on PC again
Yeah, I was about to say it's
because I
on
was like,
Steam.
yeah, because I was like, I got to play this game again, and like I thoroughly enjoyed this game. The story was dope. The world was very unique. Even it was one of the first games where you could actually go change your clothes. Also, like you could make a whole new outfit. Depending on what you did, got you new outfits. It's amazing, and just talking about it makes me want to play it again. But Sleeping Dogs was simply fantastic. I feel like anytime I mention it, nobody knows what the heck I'm talking about. So that's why, to me, it's underappreciated because like anybody I talk about it with is like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then,
It was one of those
um,
games that I saw on the shelf all the time.
yeah,
Like I've seen that cover so many
hmm
times, and I had no like. I
Mhm.
just looked up the trailer while you were telling me about it.
yeah,
And I was like, oh,
so good.
I looked at it. And I was like, oh, this might have been one of those ones I missed out on. It
Yeah,
looks pretty
the
cool.
game,
Yeah.
it's such a fun game to play. It's single player. There's just so many things to do in that game itself, and it just, like I said, being the kung fu element, that was something that really get. We don't get a lot of games where you can just like strictly just fight, like it's hand to hand combat kind of stuff. So that whole like genre, I feel like was unexplored, and to have a game that is like that in where you're in in Hong Kong and you're doing those kind of things, it just to me, I was just like, this game's amazing, and I think people should play it, and no one has. So that's why I feel like it's underappreciated.
Yeah, I've always heard about Sleeping Dogs. Charles is one of the people that always told me about it. I think it was either that game or Mafia, but he's always telling me about Sleeping Dogs and how great it is. And I
Yeah.
just like Chris, I always saw it everywhere, and it was very very prevalent for a while there. But I just never got around to playing it because I was probably playing some Halo or something like that.
What city
Yeah.
are you in? Like, what city are you in the game?
I think it's Hong Kong. I
It
think
is
you
Hong
are in
Kong?
Hong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, because I think that because you deal with the triads in that game,
Yeah.
so I would say it's Hong Kong, and you like everything. The scenery is so beautiful, also for a game that came out when it did. But like also you can get buffs like going to the street corner to get like pork buns and stuff. It just the game, like I said, in general was just amazing, and I feel like it was one of those games that flew under the radar because I forgot what came out. A big game came out around that time also that kind of like swept it under the rug, but it was pretty like it's just such a good game, and I can't talk enough about it. Like I'm actually probably going to play it again after
Not
this.
Skyrim, right? Did Skyrim come out in 2012?
I don't know.
2011.
Yeah, it was August ish.
Around then, Journey was pretty big. Let's see. Yeah, that's not really.
Nothing. Well, I don't.
Yeah, Journey was the game of the year for that year. So
That's
I don't
crazy.
know, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have reached the end of the show, but before we say goodbye, Alan, do you want to tell us about the podcast update? I think we're on
Yes.
Apple Podcast now.
Well, no, we're still working on that. We're almost there. We just need Apple is reviewing us now. It should take maybe it usually says, anywhere from a week to 3 weeks, but most of the places that have said that have came back to us maybe in 2 or 3 days. So we did just join Stitcher though. So pretty much anywhere. We also have a link tree with with our QR code that we'll be sending out. So you guys can follow us on either of those channels. But again, we're on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. We're on pretty much all the big platforms besides Apple, and we're hoping to be on Apple. So,
actually, update to that. I just got an email from Apple. It says that the podcast has been approved, and
so we're officially on Apple.
Yeah, you should see it in iTunes Store within the next few hours. So it could already be there.
Yep.
So yeah, keep an eye out for us on Apple podcasts.
You heard it here first, guys. It's sponsored by Apple.
Well, I don't know.
So I just want to tell you before we go. I just want to tell you that I have a video coming out tomorrow at 1, and it's me basically talking about what I think the next Battlefield will need to succeed in this crazy world of giant battle royale behemoths. So it'll be out tomorrow. Keep an eye out for that, 1 o'clock. And until then, make sure to follow us on social media. We are on Twitter at officiallpft. On YouTube, you got to search for us in the search bar. We might not show up at first. We don't have a specific URL yet.
Well, we're getting there, but I think because we're posting the most, we are showing up more.
Yeah.
You should be able to go in and put in.
Unique.
Yeah.
And then also here on Twitch, make sure you are following us. We are twitch.tv/lastplacefireteam. Make sure you follow us. And if you could really help us out by sharing our content with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, just let them know if this is something that they like, to check us out, subscribe, follow. We do have YouTube. We have a podcast that comes out on Wednesdays. Usually our YouTube videos come out Wednesday as well, right?
Yeah.
And
Wednesday
then we
also.
have this live show will be up on our YouTube channel on Fridays. So if you miss it live, you can watch it again on Fridays.
But if you watch it live on Twitch, you get all the swear words.
Yeah,
that's true too.
But stuff like that. I think that's all I have.
Oh,
you guys have any closing thoughts?
Yeah,
ahead,
one thing. This Thursday is PlayStation State of Play. I don't remember. They said they're streaming it at 2 p.m. I don't know if it's Pacific time or Eastern time. Just follow our Twitter. We will be streaming our reactions. I know I'll be there. Did you guys say you guys are in?
Yes.
Okay, so all three of us will be streaming it, and you can come watch it with us here on our channel.
And we'll have
a lot better than Nintendo.
Yeah.
Yes, hopefully. And then we'll also have the podcast version of that on the same day, because I'll just make it and then drop it in of our reaction and stuff, kind of like we did with the Nintendo thing. So just look for us, like Andy said, look for us everywhere. We'll next week have the link tree in, so you guys can just click it and then have the choice, whatever.
And one last thing, I almost forgot. I forgot to mention it. Let me go get it real quick.
Uh-oh. What's he going to show us here? What do we got? Uh-oh. He's bringing out one of his the collection. Let's see.
There's a lot in here.
He doesn't know what he's looking for.
Also,
He's
keep an
looking
eye
for a
out, guys.
mouse.
We're going to be posting up our email soon, so you guys can leave questions, or if you guys come up with like a little game we could play on the podcast, help the show.
Oh,
get
and Yandy's
better.
back.
Yeah, here he is.
Okay, so eventually, I don't know when exactly yet, but we are going to do a mouse giveaway of a Pwnage Ultra Custom that'll be modded by me. And right now, it is currently using a shell that is in our color.
Nice.
And these are are interchangeable, right? So the cool thing is there's different colored shells. You can take it out, swap this out, and you can have different colored shells. Cool. So everything will be modded by me, ready to go. It's brand new pretty much. I haven't used it. But this will be a giveaway. So please make sure that you are following us on socials, YouTube, to be notified for when that does happen. I'm hoping it's soon. Obviously, we want to try to get more people to watch us and follow us to be able to give it out, to those loyal ones. It'll be a random thing, but yeah, just keep an eye on social media. Make sure to follow us and share our socials if you really like our stuff.
And you know what? I'm gonna plug the business. All right. If you guys need your mouse fixed, keyboard fixed, clean, all right, modded, everything. All right. Make sure to follow Yendy's page on Twitter. He does reasonable prices, and he'll get you hooked up.
Thanks. Yeah. So yeah, just let me know. But make sure to follow us. And thank you so much for joining us on this week's show. Next week, Chris may be hosting, possibly, and we may or may not have a guest. We will let you know for sure. Until then, though, thank you so much for joining us for this hour and a half, and we'll see you next Tuesday. See you guys later.
Fireteam out.